evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore podcast, your Newcastle United podcast, and the Evermore YouTube channel. I'm Chris. Please wear shades on me tonight. I'm in Costa del London, and I can't get away from the bloody sunshine here. But I'm joined once again by Mark, and the Lynch Man has made a return from his happy birthday. Happy birthday yet again, Lynch Man. How we doing, boys?
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm good, mate. Good to be back. I think it's 6 weeks since I've done a show. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, I'm very, very much excited to be back and having a bit of crack with you two lads.
I just can't believe we've gone 6 weeks without a sensationalist comment, mate. You better make up for it for lost time tonight.
You'll be getting plenty tonight. Plenty tonight. Don't you worry about that, my son.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, everybody, don't adjust your sets. I am ridiculously bright tonight, which is not very often I can say that, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to get away from the sun. Mark's been laughing pre-show with me just in my seating position about 500 times, and this is the best that I could come up with. I look a little bit like Ross's teeth in Friends when he gets them done, but hopefully the sun will die down a little bit and I won't blind you as much. But we've got loads to get stuck into tonight, guys. It's obviously the penultimate episode before the season starts. I get my teeth in. We've got loads to go through. Just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We're so close to 1,500 subs. I'd really love you to get us there before the kickoff on Saturday. It'd be absolutely amazing. We're only about 22, I think, short. So yeah, smash the button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. You'll never miss a video. And we're going to get stuck right into the topics right now, guys. So as I just highlighted, football is back. God, it seems like we've waited a lifetime for possibly the most exciting season we've had in a long time as Newcastle fans. Lynchman, I'm coming to you first. It must be a real refreshing change for you to actually be looking forward to a season, mate, rather than just thinking, fuck, I hope we stay up.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my God, it's been a long time coming, this 10 weeks with no football. It's felt like a lifetime, hasn't it? And it is. It's like a drug. When it's taken away from you, sometimes you don't know what to do with yourself. It's a strange feeling. You know, you're trying to fill your Saturdays, even midweek nights, no football, no fantasy football, no Champions League, nothing really to keep you going. It's been grim. Look, we did have a bit of a distraction over the last few weeks with the Lionesses. I know it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but I really got into it, especially the knockout phase of the competition. Look, what a phenomenal achievement that was from the girls to win the whole thing. But look, the real thing's back now. Premier League football, there's no better competition in world football than the Premier League, and I cannot wait for Saturday. I have missed St. James's Park so much, lads. I didn't get to any of the friendlies last weekend as I was away. I know you guys managed to take in the Atalanta game. I'm sure you had a really good night, and pleased that you guys were able to get to a game. But yeah, I am beyond excited for Saturday. I'm starting to get those pre-match nerves now, that anticipation. I just can't wait to see all the lads again, all the people who sit around me, people sit in my lounge, go to Logo before the game, see some of the lads from the podcast. Got a lot of things planned that day and going to try and catch up with as many people as I can. And look, it is an experience going to the game. It's not just about the football. It's a massive social thing as well. And for many long years, it was only a social experience. Now it's completely about the football and it's great again. And look, let's just hope we get a result. I think this season, we're going to have a very special season. I wrote a piece for the website the other day about where we'll finish. I genuinely believe we can finish as high as 7th. If you look at some of the teams this year, the likes of Leicester, Wolves, Brighton, Crystal Palace even, I don't think they'll have as good as a season as last year. Leicester especially, they're in big trouble right now. Realistically, the only competition I see as having for 7th is probably West Ham and Aston Villa. The top 6 picks itself, Liverpool, City, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal and Man U. I fully expect Liverpool to win the league. I think Spurs will have a great season and finish 3rd. But if we look at our competition, as I said earlier, Villa have strengthened very well, it has to be said. And West Ham are still a top side. I do think they'll struggle for league form with European commitments to deal with. A couple more signings in the bag this month, which I fully expect us to make. A new striker, and it's looking like James Maddison. And I don't think we'll have any problem in finishing 7th.
Oh, fantastic. I love your optimism, Lynchman. We're live tonight, everybody. Please jump in the comments, as a few you have already. L. Stapleton, good evening to you too. Good evening to Mark. We've also got Jimmy in the comments. Good evening, lads. This channel is the Korean meatballs. Jimmy's pulled up some absolute pearlers. He's going to be after my job soon if he hits any more of these one-liners at the park, Jimmy. Absolutely superb. So yeah, we're going to get stuck into a few more of the comments as well, guys. But just getting your take on the season, Mark. We spoke a little bit about what's going on, didn't we? That I just think it's so refreshing as a Newcastle fan to have a bit of hope, really, because for the last God knows how many years we've got into seasons, and as James rightly says there, the experience hasn't been an enjoyable one in terms of the football. Yes, the camaraderie, the togetherness, the banter, because it is an experience. It's memories that you make with friends, and everybody else. But I think the football side's been so fucking dire over the years. It's so refreshing to go into a season and actually think, you know what, let's see what the guys can do, and we've got confidence we can have a good season, mate. Do you agree with what James is saying? Do you think we're in for a good season, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd echo that completely. Look, it's how long has it been since you've been able to go into a season and thought we might actually achieve something this year rather than just stay afloat, and that's always been the aim. So to come into a season where there are still a possibility of more transfers to come, with a squad that is a hell of a lot better than it was 12 months ago. The ceiling's risen so much, and 6th, 7th, 8th are achievable now. 6th might be pushing it a little bit, but as James said, if you bring in 1 or 2 more before the window ends, it's not beyond the realms of a possibility to get to that point and beating the likes of Villa and West Ham, Leicester, Wolves to that position. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they get on this season, because it's you're absolutely right. It's just positivity all the way through.
Absolutely, the future's bright, and so is my face.
So is your t-shirt.
I was going to say I probably should have worn a darker t-shirt tonight, guys. Possibly, to be honest with you, but I maybe go stick an emergency jacket on in a minute just to deflect some of the heat. But no, I'm really excited as well. I think we've been good in the transfer market. I know we've had some frustrations, in terms of the attacking threat. We're going to get stuck right into that in a minute in terms of the the players that we're still looking at. Obviously some huge names linked. James mentioned Madison there as well, which we're obviously going to get stuck into. Ekitike was disappointing. There's been other names mentioned that don't seem to have gone anywhere. But you can't fault the ownership in terms of the purchases they have made, in terms of strengthening that back four. That back four is so strong now, and that, and coupled with the midfield as well. The kind of Willock looks like he's getting back to form a little bit. Longstaff's had a decent preseason. Miggy's had a really good preseason. So I think Eddie Howe has got a very good level of performance out of what he has got. And I think that, you add quality to that mix, then there's absolutely no doubt that we can really be confident about a good season. Even some of the non-Newcastle fans have us finishing top 8, top 9 positions in the league, and even the likes of your Talk Sports that we've completely derided over the years about slagging off Newcastle left, right, and centre. Even they're changing their tune, likes of Danny Mills telling Murphy to jump on the A1 and speed up to Newcastle as quick as he could, and it's just refreshing to see this club getting kind of what it deserves, really, in terms of the respect it deserves for the club that it is, and I think a good season can only really get us, higher and higher up the league table, and obviously can get us even better, in terms of more appealing to players. So would you agree with that, James, as well, mate?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I play fantasy football, as you guys very well know. I take that very seriously. Chris has popped off there. Don't know what's happened, but yeah, I've been listening to a lot of fantasy football podcasts over the summer, getting some insights on some of the new signings from all the other clubs, and listen to fans of other football clubs: Southampton's, Brighton, Palace's, Wolves, Leicester's. They're all tipping Newcastle to a man, pretty much to finish 7th, possibly 8th. I don't think anyone's thinking we're going to hit that top 6. As I say, the top 6 does pick itself. I think there are a few question marks over Man United. I think a lot of kind of fans are looking at them possibly kind of dropping off with what's happened with Ronaldo. Others think they might finish, as high as 3rd or 4th. I still think Man United will struggle this season. But again, I'm going to go back to what I said before. Other clubs around us haven't strengthened as well as us, and I don't think we'll end up doing over the next 3 or 4 weeks. I think there's 4 weeks left of the window. And I do believe, as I say, there will be 2 more signings brought in. I think, as I say, I mentioned before, Aston Villa, Mark, your thoughts on Villa in terms of their window? I mean, you would probably say they've had a pretty good one. They could be in and around Newcastle and the likes of the West Hams.
Yeah, I get the kind of similar sort of windows in terms of the strength that they've brought in. Obviously, the permanent signing of Coutinho, Diego Carlos coming in. I think Ludwig Augustinsson as well to come in and give backup in that left back position as well. So they've done really, really well to sort of bolster their ranks on top of what they already had. So I think it's almost very, very similar in terms of where I think the two clubs will finish. And I think they're going to be sort of probably 7th and 8th with not much between them. But like I say, if Newcastle had one, like you said, one or two more, they can bring in another quality striker and somebody to play sort of in that wide area, sort of in that midfield role as well. Somebody like Maddison who could do both. Then you're absolutely going to be gunning for those higher positions. So it is, like I say, it's just really positive way to start the season with no doom and gloom around the place. It's so strange. So used to Newcastle fans being so miserable, going, yes, it's great to have football back, but where we're going to finish this season now, it's properly exciting. So really looking forward to it.
I mean, I've ordered the home shirt this season and ordered it on Sunday. I'm really hoping it arrives before Saturday because I really want to wear it for the Forest game. I've not bought a shirt since I'm thinking 1997. It's been that long since I've even considered getting a shirt. I mean, I do like the home shirt this season as well, I have to say, but it's that different kind of mentality, that mindset, that shift in optimism, if you like. And again, we were saying this at the end of last season that we could have been looking at possibly finishing 8th if the results had gone in our favour. A few other games had gone differently. Yeah. We could have even finished higher than we were. But again, I look at the likes of West Ham, European football. Oh, he's back. Chris, there you are. You're looking a little bit better there, mate. Just like Newcastle, I've had some window frustrations myself. I've had to do a bit of feng shui in the room there, guys. So sorry about that. I was still. We've all been there, mate. We've all been there. Yeah, I was just saying about West Ham, you're looking at kind of teams in and around us who I fully expect. They've got Europa Conference League this season. No one wants to be in that competition. Thursday nights, Sundays. I think they might struggle a little bit. They don't have a massive squad. I can see us finishing ahead of them. But I think if we do look at the transfer when I think you were going to talk about a transfer update there, Chris, and going into that one and see where we're kind of at with that. Yeah, it's a seamless segue, James, as you've just loaded us in there. I should just take the rest of the night off, mate. You've got this in hand. Don't worry about it, mate. Absolutely. But I've got to pull this comment up before we get into that because Ian Sutton, the comments. Good evening to you, mate. Yeah, the second coming of Christ. I did believe that myself for a minute there, mate. I was just about to turn my water into wine until I decided to move seats. So yeah, it was a little bit garish, mate. But yeah, so a good point to get us in the transfer window there, James. I think there's loads of comments in there, Mark, isn't there? The comments about the frustrations with James Maddison. We might as well kick off with that, James. I know you're a massive fan of Maddison, and we all are. I just think that this kind of back and forth a little bit, it's frustrating, isn't it? In terms of not moving further with the player. Leicester obviously in a little bit of financial bother. It's a great opportunity to get a really class player, one of the best players in the Premier League, no shadow of a doubt. And I just think as Newcastle fans, we're frustrated that it's not moving quicker. Do you still see this deal coming off, Lunchman, or do you think we'll move on to another target? There's some comments about Paquetta there, Mark, isn't there? For 35 million, I think Sean's saying in the comments.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, James? Do you think we go one more stab for Madison and then go somewhere else, or?
I think we could go three or four more bids. Go up to 3 or 4 bids. I do think we will get him. We will put in a third bid. No way we walk away from this now. I just cannot see it happening. We've come too far with this. Look, his versatility, his big game mentality will give us so much more creativity in the middle of the park, and he can even play right of that midfield if need be. I know everybody was desperate to get Diaby. I think he was at the top of everybody's wish list this summer. But look, that didn't happen. We've just got to move on, get on with it. I think if you look at overall, the business we've done so far, first and foremost, we've spent £60 million on 3 outstanding players, especially Sven Botman, who I think will have a season as good as Bruno's last year. We spent 90 million back in January. So already in the space of 7 months, the owners have put £150 million in the club. I'm certain we'll get another 2 over the line before the end of the month. I'm absolutely positive. We've got 4 weeks to get more deals done. That's still a lot of time. Don't get me wrong. Would I prefer going into Notts Forest with all of our business done and wrapped up? Yes, of course I would. But the reality is that isn't the case. I just think we need to be a little bit more patient, give them the benefit of the doubt, because these owners have not put a foot wrong so far. And simple fact is we've got to judge them and judge this window on the 1st of September when it shuts. Now, if we get to that point, we've got nobody else in, it would be a poor summer. But that just isn't going to happen, in my opinion. We are going to get Maddison. I'm not an ITK. None of us are on this channel. I can just see us really going for this one. But look, we all know a new centre forward is absolutely essential. The main problem is, though, there just isn't many out there. And we went all in with Ekitike. It didn't work out. It did sound like we really didn't have a contingency plan in place after that. And that did set us back massively. You know, you guys have talked about this so many times on the channel. But we all know the main issue we have is trying to convince a striker to come and sit on the bench. Because when Wilson is fully fit, he will play every game. It's as simple as that. And I can see Wilson playing 25, 30 games this season. I'm hoping more in optimism that he will. So the likes of, your Benjamin Sesko's, your Ivan Toney's, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's, who we have all been linked with, it's going to be incredibly difficult to convince them to come when they aren't guaranteed first-team football. So unless we completely change the system and change the formation, which I just can't see us doing personally. So we are in a bit of a conundrum. It has been a conundrum, and I can sympathise with the club and the higher-ups because it is difficult to get in a top-quality centre-forward when you don't have European football, and you're basically asking them to play on the bench.
Yeah, I think with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think there was breaking news earlier on, Mark, wasn't he? He's out for 3 months, I think, isn't he? So I think we've dodged a bit of a bullet there because that lad seems to be very injury-prone, and I think he's almost in that vicious cycle that he can't get out of them. He's picking them up, he's picking them up, and suddenly when a player becomes like that, his value just plummets. So I'm not sure whether we would go back in for Calvert-Lewin and sniff a bit of a deal, but I just think he's probably bad news in terms of his injury record. I think I would stay well clear. I'd love us to go for someone like Sesko or someone like that, but there's no way we're going to spend 50 million quid, say, on Maddison, and then we're going to spend another 50 million quid on Sesko. I just can't see that happening, regardless of whatever APR we've got from HSBC on that loan. I just can't see that happening, to be honest with you. But just coming on to you, Mark, about the Lee's in the comments there, absolutely broken wardrobe door, apparently. Yeah, I heard he had a run in his pantyhose, Lee, that's what it was, and he pulled his hamstring. But just coming on to the wingers, Mark, obviously with Madison, there has been some of the names thrown out there, and obviously Paquetta is one of them, but another one was also Callum Hudson-Odoi, that if Madison wasn't going to happen, that apparently we're going to look at him. Now, his name's been mentioned more than once. We've done a couple of Rumour Has It videos and updates on him. I personally think he'd be a real good asset to the squad. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as a Madison, and I really hope James is right, and I hope we get Madison. But if we don't, do you think Hudson-Odoi is a decent backup, mate?
I think he'd be a cracking signing. Yeah, look, he is still really young, isn't he, as well? So he's shown already the quality that he has. So you bring him in, absolutely. Especially, I mean, you could potentially bring him in on loan with Madison as well, and do almost a double deal for those two. And what a couple of signings they would be. Yes, you still need a striker, but there was deals there to kind of be done in that regard, but I think he'd be a fantastic sign. I just wanted to come back to James's point about no ITK. I just want to quickly say that's our only source for the day.
Hang on. We're going to argue here because I'm not that source. I'm the red source. You didn't tell me you were going to throw this up there, mate. That's a podcast in itself. That is, mate.
Well, we're losing out on this. Brown on a bacon sandwich, surely.
No, guys, come on. Comments below. Come on. Red or brown sauce on your bacon sandwich. It's got to be red all day long, Mark. You heathen. Brown sauce.
I'm with you there, Chris, mate. It's got to be red.
Come on, the Reds. That's the only time you'll hear on this. The only time you'll hear that on this podcast. Yeah, he's putting Team Brown because he's in charge of the fucking admin. That's why he's putting Team Brown. Red is the way forward, lads. Red is the way forward. We've got some other comments coming in there. BT's making a point. Actually, this is an interesting one. That I love the way Eddie Howe communicates as well with the press. It's so refreshing compared to, speaking of bacon, Steve Bruce. So refreshing. Eddie Howe admits that Newcastle have faced complications during the second half of the window due to inflation and agent demands. We've had 2 offers turned down for Madison to walk away. I hope that we stick with the Madison deal because the word is that Madison wants to come. And I don't think that we would have been encouraged to bid for Madison if Madison hadn't made noises himself as a player. And it was interesting. I don't know if you saw James Nick Pope threw a nice little comment out in his interview with Athletic, and he said every England player should want to come and sign for Newcastle United right now. I really like that because it was almost a little bit like a, come on, Madders, get yourself here, mate.
Well, Leicester are on a downward trajectory. We're on the up. I mean, if you look at their financial situation now, I mean, I've got massive respect for their owners, and I don't want to start criticising Leicester here, because what they achieved winning the league and the FA Cup was absolutely brilliant. But they've got a lot wrong in the last kind of 18 months from what I've been reading in financial markets and what have you. And they're really struggling in terms of investment, the money they need to sell to be able to buy. Look, that goalkeeper is leaving. Looks like Wesley Fofana could be off. I wouldn't be surprised if Harvey Barnes would be sold as well.
Yeah.
So if you're a Leicester player now, don't get me wrong, good manager. I like Brendan Rodgers. He gets a lot out of players, but you don't want to be staying at that club. They've got no chance of finishing top 10 next season. And again, I think I had them finishing as low as 14th in my predictor league for the piece that I wrote for you guys. So again, if you're at a club the likes of Leicester, of Everton, you want to be getting out there. You want to be coming to a team like Newcastle. We have got massive aspirations this season. You see what Bruno's done. You see what Botman, what he's done. He's came to us. He's rejected a whole host of top European clubs. It's that first one, isn't it? Getting that first one over the line. The next always follow. And Bruno, well, arguably Trippier was that first one. But I can honestly see, guys, I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to be optimistic. 2 more done over the next 4 weeks. We've still got 4 weeks to go. I still think we'll get 2 more done. I really do. Whether or not that's Hudson-Odoi, whether or not it's Madison, centre forward, I'd be pushed to give you a name for a centre forward because it is really, really tough right now. But I can still see 2 more coming in. I really can.
Well, I'll tell you something that I can see coming in, James, which is quite upsetting to me, is there's a lot of love for Brown Sauce here. I'm not very pleased about this. We've got Jimmy's Team Brown, L Stapleton is Team Brown. Lee thinks you're more of a Hollandaise type of guy, which I knew was coming there. Mike L, Mike L, Brown Sauce, mate. What are you doing? Mark said, I'm a peasant. It's brown all day long. I can't believe this. But Mark Todd he's actually a bit of a connoisseur, as Mark Todd. He's red for bacon and he's brown for sausage. I like the way you play the game, Mark. Well done, my friend.
That's it. Brown for sausage, red for bacon. Perfect.
I was going to say, yeah. These are some serious sauces going on here. You don't need ITKs when you've got this level of sauce flying around.
The level of debate, we've just taken a step up in our level of debate.
Nobody cares about transfers. They just want to tell us what
James Maddison
sandwich.
James Maddison, what do you have on your bacon sandwich? We'll be asking what you have next, fried or poached eggs. Fucking hell, let's get going. It'd be like the Evermore cooking show. Honestly, unbelievable. We've got another comment coming in there from Aaron. How much is Leon wanting for Paquetta? Is it 35 or is it 50? So let's just get stuck into Paquetta then. I mean, we spoke about this on Monday, Mark, didn't we? And I think I spoke about this when we did the Madison rumour has it video and the update. Paquetta seems to be on the wish list of a lot of Newcastle fans, and I think some of them probably, I'm not saying all of them, some of them have probably never actually seen the lad play a game. It's just, the YouTube compilation clips and the fact that he's Bruno's mate is all, let's get him. I'm not saying he's a bad player. Of course he's not. He's a Brazilian international and he looks a hell of a player. He's got Champions League experience. Him and Bruno do gel very well, so that is a huge tick in the box. But for me, if it's my preference, I think James might be in a similar vein to me. I think Madison's got to be the number 1 option now. And if you can't get him, then Paquetta has got to be number 2, because it doesn't look like Arsenal or anybody is sniffing around Paquetta right now at 35 or 50 million. So I think we're in a strong position, mate, wouldn't you say?
I'd say so. I think you've definitely got an angle there for Paquetta. I do think he's a terrific player. I agree with one of the comments earlier that he is genuinely a world-class player. But I think for the reasonable amount more that you would get Maddison for, I just think bringing a player in that has scored double figures in the Premier League last season, that has got, assists season on season as well, that's a no-brainer. If you can get him for around about 50 to 60 million, if you can include Dubravka going the other way to bring that cost down a little bit as well, hell, why not? It just seems like a perfect deal for Newcastle. It's a player in position of need. It's a player that's going to give you lots of creativity and lots of goal scoring opportunities and taking those chances as well. So, God, yeah, why not? Like I say, I love Paquetta. I think he's a brilliant footballer. But I would far probably rather in that position see Maddison come in. It is one for debate, because I know there are plenty of people that think the other way around and want to see Paquetta come in over Madison, as we've seen.
Yeah, that's a great comment by Emma there. She's saying that, bear in mind that Leon fans rate Paquetta actually better than Bruno. And obviously Mark's pointing out that Paquetta gets picked in the Brazil squad. ahead of Bruno, which is obviously how good
brilliant,
he is. But yeah, I mean, that does say a lot. But, for me, I think, and I'll get the Lynchman's take on this as well, he's probably the same mindset that for me, if you got a straight choice between the two of them, I prefer Maddison. I think Jimmy's just smashed a comment in there, pretty much saying what I'm going to say. I prefer Maddison because he's Premier League proven Lynchman, isn't he? This lad can do it. And it's not just he can do it against your Wolves and your Brightons and your Evertons. He can do it against your Cities, your Chelseas, your Manchester Uniteds, your Spurs. He can do it against all of the teams in this league, and he would slip straight into our side. And I just think he would settle in straight away, wouldn't he? Because he's a proven Premier League star, isn't he, mate? Paquetta's a big question mark. Can he do it? Because he hasn't played here yet.
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? If the pair of them are available for the same amount of money, you'd have to say Maddison would be the better alternative because, as you say, he's done it year in, year out. Premier League consistency. You talk about this word consistency. I use it a lot. You know what you're getting with Madison. You're not taking a gamble on Paquetta because he is a brilliant player, but you don't know how he might adapt to living in England. You don't know how he might adapt to living in Newcastle, to adapt to if his family's going to come. There are all of these question marks that you've got to look at with an international player. And I think you guys touching it on one of the shows recently, you start having a team full of South Americans and you might lose them for more of the season when they go away on international duty. And I know I'm kind of being a little bit nitpicky there. But you have to take this in mind. And I think you do look at Madison, England national as well. I love England nationals. They do come with a bit of a tax. But if you're building a team, the likes of Trippier, Dan Burn, potentially Nick Pope, another England player in your team, people are starting to really watch out for you to think, wow, this team's doing something here now. And I fully expect Maddison to want to get back in that England setup, whether or not he'd be first choice, first game of the World Cup in November, December, who knows? But you would like to think you'd have a better chance of getting in that setup if he did come to Newcastle. It's one of those things, though. Give me either of them. I'll be happy with either of them. Seriously, I'm not too fussed, but just give the edge to Madison, just slightly.
Absolutely, mate. Great shout. I think Mark wants to come in there, but just before you do, I love Davey's idea. Just sign both. Fuck it. Well done, Davey. I love that, mate. Go on, Mark. What do you want to add to this, mate?
Well, yeah, it was just some of the comments that are coming in. Obviously, Mark coming in with Paquetta has better stats than Maddison. If you look at Paquetta's league stats for the last two seasons, I think he's got 9 and 6. So 9 goals, 6 assists for the last two seasons. Kind of a little bit on par, I guess.
Yeah, similar.
Remembering how bad some of the French teams can be, though. It's not all PSGs that they're playing against.
No.
I think the issue with the Paquetta deal is we kind of really don't know what the value is. I think Aaron put in a message about what are they looking for. No, I'm not sure anybody really knows. It's somewhere between 35 and 50 million. Nobody's got a real clue as to how much is actually.
We got Bruno. Was it 38? I think 38. Yeah. So you'd imagine it's going to be around that mark, isn't it?
Yeah.
4, probably, I would say.
Absolutely.
It's got to be Aaron makes a good point. Aaron makes a good point about Bruno there as well, just to bring that in. Bruno wasn't Premier League proven and he's took the piss. So I think just before you jump in there, Mark, that does give you the other edge of it, doesn't it? Paquetta might come in and be class. We just don't know, do we?
Exactly. And that's where I was going to head as well. When you talk about Madison gives you Premier League proven quality. But yeah, Bruno came in. It maybe took him a couple of days to see even the dog agrees with me there. It took him a few games to get get into the side. Eddie played it very, very well, bringing him in, but he hit the ground running. And if Paquetta comes in and does that, and he is international quality, he's played exceptionally well. So there's no reason to suspect that he would come in and be a flop like others have done.
Absolutely. If you were listening closely there, Mark's dog said red sauce. That's what he said. So I could hear barking away there in the background. So yeah. So just the comment there, Mark's just saying hit the nail on the head. We mucked around with Ekitike, so give it another go for Madison. If not, save 20 million, get Paquetta, and then put the money you saved towards a strike. That's a fair play, but as the Lynchman says, Mark, there's not many strikers around. We're struggling a little bit for that. The Werner deal, obviously. Some of us were a bit hot and cold on Werner, but that's disappeared now as well. So striker-wise, it's a bit slim pickings, I think. I've got another comment there from Mike. He's saying that Paquetta is Bruno's best mate. He's already been to visit him in Newcastle and he was raving about the place. He must have been talking to Adam Pearson there, Mike. Did he let you know that he was hanging over the edge of the roof listening to the conversation? Well done, Adam P. He's doing a great job. BT saying Leicester are waiting to see if Newcastle will return with a third bid. But they're said to be reluctant to get close to the price of 60 million quid. I think it'll be shit will get off the pan with that, Lynchman. Would you agree, mate? I think pretty much Leicester will have that moment where they're going to have to sit, make a decision. We'll just say, right, if you don't, fuck it, we're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can get him for 50, and I think Dubravka could potentially be part of this deal. You look at what could happen with Fofana as well. That one could potentially put a bit of a spanner in the works. If they sell Fofana to Chelsea, they might then look at Madison and think, right, we don't maybe need to sell you now. Probably not. I don't think it's going to get to that point now. But you've got to think if they are going to sell him, it has to probably be in the next week because they need to bring a replacement. They can't just sell him and not bring anybody in. I mean, they've got to then look at it. They're not going to spend for like money, but they're gonna need to replace him.
Are they looking at? Is it Fakor or something from Lyon? I think, Mark, isn't it? Is it Fakor or there's like a playmaker from Lyon? I can't remember his name now, but I've seen it on Twitter.
Oh, you stumped us there. I know. I was looking at the one before the talk of Raul. What's his name? Raul de Thomas is the striker that was
right. Okay,
had been linked. That the price had potentially dropped for him. You've stumped us there because my mind's gone blank.
Your mind's gone blank because of Jimmy's comment about your dog licking its own hoop. There, that's what it is. Like that's what's thrown you.
I was going to come back on Davies about Paquetta's already an understanding of Bruno red sauce as well. I think that's Brune red sauce, isn't it?
No, you're scraping the barrel now. You're scraping the barrel. Typical brown saucer. You're scraping the barrel there. You're scraping the barrel.
What has this show turned into, lads? My word.
James, you've been off for 6 weeks.
I know.
You've been off for 6 weeks and we've lost it, mate. We've gone off the rails. Mark, this is an interesting point. This has come up quite a lot. That we're owed 8 million quid apparently from the Perez deal. I've heard this a few times, so that's got to be something that the owners are obviously playing into as well. I think Aaron has it. It's is it Honore from Lyon? I think is what he's saying. Is it Honore? He must be the player from Lyon. I think it is. Yeah. So they're definitely being linked to a player to replace Madison because I saw that before. BT saying we were linked to 2 strikers. What's happened to Steve Nixon's visit to South America? Yeah, it's an interesting one. That that was really early on in the window, wasn't it, about Steve Nixon scouting in South America, and we were linked to likes of Gabby Goal and players like that, and it just never seemed to materialise. But I don't know whether it's just there's work permit issues or something like that. Because I think sometimes with the South American players, unless they've played enough international games, you have real trouble with clearance. And I can imagine at the minute it's probably even worse. Just red tape and all the other bollocks that goes with it. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot coming through there. I've seen a couple of Brazilian players link, Mark, younger players, isn't it, for like the next generation, like the next superstar. But I think that's very much the development squad side, isn't it, in terms of what we're going to do in the years going forward.
I think there's definitely one lad that was linked from, is it Palmeiras, that was linked in for complete. Again, my brain is mush. I've completely forgotten his name.
I blame my Illuminous T-shirt and the brown and red sauce fiasco for your scrambled brain tonight, Mark.
But yeah, I think there were definitely a few younger South American players that had been linked. There was a young Argentinian lad that plays in. Funny enough, though, I think he plays in Italy. That had been linked early in the window. Nothing really came of that link. I don't even think we did a rumour has it video.
No, I think it was. It's funny with the younger players. I think Aaron's helping you out.
Giovanni.
Giovanni. Yeah, I've heard that because he's the next big thing in Brazil, isn't he? But it's actually, to be honest with you, it's probably a good segue into the other category we had about the coaching changes. This news broke the other day that Newcastle have finally signed Carrick. And it isn't Michael, unfortunately, for anybody watching along who was a big fan of Michael Carrick. I certainly was. But I think we've brought in Graham Carrick, who's his brother, as a coach. Very highly rated coach, Lynchman, isn't he, for the under-18s level? Obviously, he's Newcastle born and bred. I think he was at Wallsend Boys Club with Michael as well, but he wasn't as good of a player. But he's went into the coaching side, and he's apparently really impressive. And I think having him coming in with his pedigree, his reputation, and he's a Geordie as well, that can only be good for the next generation of players, homegrown and anyone would bring in as well to the academy, isn't it?
Yeah, another great acquisition by the club as we continue this restructure behind the scenes. He's very highly thought after. From what I've been reading about him, he's played for West Ham as a youngster, but unfortunately injuries prevented him from following in his brother's footsteps. So he turned to coaching instead, the next best thing. And he has previous links to the club. He coached our academy back in 2005 for a couple of years before he took up a role with the FA as a youth coach, where interestingly, he worked alongside Dan Ashworth for the best part of 10 years. So already the two of them will have a very good understanding of each other, how they work. They'll know each other inside out, clearly had a very good working relationship at the FA when they were both there. And you would have to assume that Ashworth has recommended him for this role. He's had a big influence on getting him into the club. So we all know our academy has been neglected for years, decades. It's in a hell of a bad mess. It's in a state right now. So look, this is a really exciting appointment. He comes with, as you say, a very, very brilliant reputation around the country. And let's hope we can bring through a few more Elliot Andersons and Sean Longstaffs over the next few years, because we're really short of those players and have been for many years now.
Absolutely. It's a fair point there, Mark, isn't it? What Mark's saying in the comments, it just proves the owners are setting the club up from top to bottom. And, we talked about this on so many shows, no matter which one of us has been on the panel, the lack of youth players coming through from such a football hotbed of geographical area like the Northeast. Historically, you look at some of the best players that England have ever produced, come from this region. But for years and years, we've let them slip away. And the Mackhams and the Smoggies have got ahead of us in terms of their development and their coaching. So it'll be really nice to get the top players coming out of the local schools. And I'm sure someone like Graham Carrick will have his finger on the pulse for that kind of stuff, mate, won't he? And it's only again, something else to be excited about, Mark, isn't it?
It is. I mean, Mark, absolutely right. It's setting the club up now for moving on for the future at every level, whether that is from the under 18s and younger, right the way through to the first team. You've now got people coming in to, in legal departments, in the coaching staff, playing staff, in the boardroom. Everybody that's coming in is now been brought in with kind of specific roles in mind. There's very, very specific targets for them to kind of go for and things. So you didn't have that before. You had pretty much a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing with the football club, trying to make decisions on the future for things. And now you're getting people in the right positions at the right levels to make those decisions. And it's like I said, I touched on at the beginning, it's all really positive. Every move that's being made is positive. And it's obviously not just the playing staff, that are coming in, but that in itself has been really good. But it's just refreshing to see that these decisions are being made relatively quickly as well, because we're kind of getting a few of these through pretty quickly. So it's really positive to see those changes, and it just sets everything up really well for the future for the club. And you're right, tapping into the local market for players is key. It absolutely is. We said on Monday night, didn't we, when we were talking about the Lionesses as well? Look at the number of players that come from the north area, northeast, across to Carlisle, and Newcastle just weren't seeing any of that at whatever level, really, and they weren't being coached properly. They weren't being developed to come through into the first team. So this is now the start of that process as well, to get that academy and get the youth sides back up to a proper standard.
Absolutely. And as Mark's saying there, possibly in a few years, we're going to see players coming through and save you from spending millions. I think the way FFP is going, that's absolutely going to be the case. I mean, for years and years, Manchester United, Chelsea, they had the pickings of the best young players in the country, even the likes of your Spurs, your West Hams. I think recently Manchester City, Liverpool, they've obviously stolen the march as well in terms of scouting the best young players. But there's so many good players from our region and, the regions in near it, likes of North Yorkshire's, your Whitby's, your Scarborough's, places like that, York. York City's always had a great pedigree of producing good young players. It was a feeder club for Manchester United for years, So if we can tap into that kind of resource as well, then it's going to be really exciting in the years to come. Mike Ells jumped in the comments there and he said, we've been linked with buying the ministry site at Long Benton for the new training ground when they move into the new building on Pilgrim Street, which would be perfect. Be interesting that, Mike, because my missus might be working from home then a bit more often, mate, if they do that. but it should be quite interesting, mate. Yeah, because I just think it's only exciting, the more and more these stories come out. It's just absolutely fantastic. And as Dominic's saying there, he's over the moon with everything that's being done, as you say, from top to bottom. So looking forward to the future. It'll be brilliant though, won't it, James? I mean, just before we move on to the last category here, that I saw a great video of Phil Foden, actually, I don't know if anyone's seen it on social media, when he went into the crowd and there was an elderly pensioner fan, and he went and just spent a bit of time with him and, asked him how he was, and he gave him his shirt, and just the old man was just so proud of this young lad from his region. They all call him the Stockport Iniesta. If Elliot Anderson can become that kind of player for us, and if we can get a couple of others like that coming through, I mean, us as a region, as a nation of Geordies, mate. I mean, there's nothing more prouder for us than seeing that, though, is there, mate? Do you know what I mean? It's great to have that in the club.
It is, and that's the dream, isn't it? 11 Geordies winning the Premier League and win the Champions League. That's what you dream about.
John Hall dreamed of, didn't he, for years, bless him.
Yeah, look, that's never going to happen realistically. But if we can get 3 or 4, world class Geordies coming through over the next 10, 15 years, like, as you mentioned rightly before, Phil Foden, then I'll be a very happy man. As I say, I'm not expecting a squad of 15 Geordies. That's just not going to be realistic to compete at the highest level. But you never know. 3 or 4 coming through over the next few years. I'm a huge Elliot Anderson fan, as you rightly know. I've tipped him to become the next best thing. Maybe not to hit the heights of Phil Foden, but possibly a little bit beneath what he's achieved so far. I mean, Phil Foden's won everything already, and he's not even, 21, 22, which is incredible. But I don't think he's going to get to that level at his age. But Elliot Anderson, 25, 26, 27, you'd like to think at that point he'll still be playing for us, and we'll win the league by then. That would have been, you can only dream about that, can't you?
I just thought you were going to say that full stop as one of your sensationalist comments there, mate. I thought that was you back with a bang, just to wind PK up there, which would have been absolutely superb. Just before we move on to the last category there, Dave's in the comments saying, new training facility will have rooms to accommodate these youngsters so their families will know they're getting looked after. Again, Davey, that's just something that, just a basic thing that the Ashley regime just completely neglected, didn't it? They didn't even think about that kind of a thing. These people want their families around. They want their parents, their sisters, their brothers. They want them, have a games room for them or something, have some comfy chairs, have some PlayStations for their family to play on while they're training, just make the family feel like the club cares about them. But these lot just didn't give a rat's ass about anything. All they were thinking about was, well, if that lad's any good, we'll sell him for 30 million quid in a few years, because they were just pure money men. And they just didn't tap into what it means to make a good player, and create a legacy of these types of players. I mean, you look at Phil Foden, as you rightly said, James, I know Man City aren't full of Phil Fodens, but that lad, I honestly think that lad will win the Ballon d'Or in the next few years. I really do. I think he's a world-class footballer. And I just think that if we can create something similar to that within the ranks of our club, I'm not talking about, Andy Carroll or Stevie Taylor or someone like that. Andy Carroll was brilliant for half a season, but Stevie Taylor was just a steady away player. When he done it's a steady away player. We want players who are really established Premier League talent, and European football talent, and if we can get that at this club by investing in the coaching staff like we have been, then it's just so exciting. Absolutely so exciting. But let's move on to the next category then, the last category, lads. As we mentioned at the start, football is back. So we're going to get stuck into a Forest preview here. As you all know, we've got Nottingham Forest at the weekend at St James's Park. Lynchman is going to be there, so I'm going to come to him first. And I know he's petrified at the return of the Ginger Ninja that is Jack Cole back. I just hope him and Matty Longstaff aren't on the pitch at the same time. There might be 3 points for fucking Gryffindor. Might think it's the Weasley brothers and them two get the pitch at the same time, mate. But how are you feeling about Forest, mate? Are you confident? Do you think we're going to batter them or what?
I don't think we're going to batter them. I think we'll win. I've gone for 1-0 here with my prediction. But I think what is interesting, and we've been and ahhing about this in the group chat with the last few days, who's going to be the team, what's going to be the team. I think if you look at the start 11, personally, I think there's only really 3 positions up for debate. The other 8 pick themselves. I think the goalkeeper, right midfield, and one of the central midfield spots are the only positions that might cause a surprise or two when, 2 p.m. the team sheets are announced. Personally, I would start Nick Pope. I just can't see how he'll go with Dubravka. I don't think he should go with Dubravka. Pope will have been given assurances of playing week in, week out, but otherwise he wouldn't have agreed to join us. World Cup this winter, he'll want to be in Southgate plans. Only way he gets in this England squad if he's playing week in, week out. He's 3 years younger than Dubravka. In my opinion, he's a much better goalkeeper. Dubravka has just got too many mistakes in him, and I honestly wouldn't mind if he was sold this month. I know, we've talked about this earlier. Leicester have been looking at him as a replacement for Schmeichel. If you pull my team up again, I've gone for the midfield. Probably the one surprise that might shock a couple out there is Elliot Anderson. And look, Bruno and Joe Linton guaranteed to start. But will Eddie Howe go with Willock? Will he go with Elliot Anderson? If it was me, I would go with Anderson. I think the lad is a special talent. He could easily be our surprise package this season. I think he's got a tremendous work ethic, bags of ability. He's a real goal threat. Got a lot of assists in him as well. And I think given game time this season, his numbers will be really, really high come the end of the season. To say I'm a huge, huge fan of this. And finally, that right-sided position, as I mentioned, the three before for grabs, Almiron has to start for me. Easily being the best performing player in pre-season, 6 goals, 2 assists. You guys watched him. Did he play against Atalanta? Was he playing that night?
He did, him and Anderson were the best 2 players in the park by a couple mile, mate, to be fair. He was outstanding against Benfica, easily the best player on the pitch that night in Newcastle shirt. You've got to reward him for those returns in pre-season with a start on Saturday, and I firmly believe Howe will do that. Look, Ryan Fraser, as much as I like him, I am a fan of the lads. He hasn't shown enough in pre-season. Jacob Murphy the same. Let's be fair. Murphy's going to be third choice now. Rest of the team picks itself. Wilson, Maximin, Bruno Gillett, and as I said before, the 2 fullbacks, Trippier and Target, and Sharon Botman. Some might argue it would be really unfair to leave Dan Burn out at the side. Some might argue Dan Burn and Cher have been too good together that you couldn't drop Burn. But again, I can't see how he's not going to play Sven Botman. I really can't. So that's my team, barring any freak injuries or last minute signings. That I think that will be the team. Well, that'll be my team anyway. Absolutely. Well, I don't think the wee man will be inviting you round for a risotto, mate. The fact you've dropped him, he won't be very happy with you.
Probably not.
Just some comments coming in there. Anderson on the right is interesting, considering he plays mostly left. But I mean, I think he played in a centre midfield position. He was kind of on the right hand side of the midfield in the Friday night game, and he didn't look like he was phased at all. I mean, he's a very, very good player. I've actually gone a slightly different way. I don't know if Mark's got my team to pull up there, and I'll talk through my team. I actually think this is probably what Eddie Howe will do as well. Now, I love Elliot Anderson as well. I think Elliot Anderson is a great talent, but I think you might use him as an impact sub for certainly the first couple of games. So with Shelby being out injured, I think Shelby would have been in that team if he hadn't been injured. So I think he'll go with Longstaff. I think he trusts Longstaff. He gives you a bit more defensive cover to allow Bruno to express himself more in the game. So I think that's why he'll play Sean Longstaff, and it allows Joe Linton and Bruno to get further forward as well. Our back 5 is exactly the same, James. I think they'll go Botman and Shaw. It's really harsh on Big Dan Burn because I think he's been immense, absolutely immense. But I think this left and right balance, with Eddie Howe being as meticulous as he is, there might be some weight in that. And I think we could see this back 4, obviously with Pope in the sticks, on Saturday. But yeah, the front 3 again, it picks itself, as you rightly say, Lynchman, ASM, Wilson, Miggy, all being in the goals in pre-season. Exciting to see what they could do against Forest. I mean, Forest will be worried about this side. There's no doubt about that. You know, this isn't an easy game for them. They're coming against Newcastle United on a high, a pack St James's Park, of people just buzzing for a new season. So, you know, we're going to be at them from the first whistle. And I really think it could be a good game. I mean, match prediction wise, I didn't get yours, James. I'll come back for that, but I think we'll win 3-1. I really do. I think we'll have a steady away performance. I just hope that the one isn't Jesse Lingard, because I can't be fucking bothered to see his muggy dance at in front of the Gallagher or something like that. I hope somebody chucks a bottle of water at him or something. Not a glass one, just a plastic one, just to give him a bit of a dink. I don't want you to hurt the lad. Just give him a bit of a smack. But yeah, I just can't be asked to see that fucking bell end dancing if he scores a goal. Paul's in the comments actually, and he says Botman won't start. Oh, sorry, Mark, you raced me to the button. Botman won't start. Mark, just getting your take on that. For me, I think he's a starter all day long. He's looked so brilliant in pre-season, and he just completely unfazed, man. He's got to start, hasn't he?
Well, funny you say that. I haven't actually put my team in, so apologies I haven't got mine on a side. But I actually would go with Burn. I think he will start Burn. I think it was. Is it telling that they played together on Friday night, and it wasn't Shaw and Botman that played together in that game? I don't know. I do think he might stick with Burn for the first game. I might be wrong, but that was my feeling, that your back 5, it would be Pope, it would be Trippier, Shaw, Burn, and Target. Midfield, I'd love to see Elliot Anderson start. I think he will do very, very well. I'm almost in agreement with you though, Chris. I think you'd probably go with Longstaff as the base, and then with Bruno slightly further forward. That's not bad. I mean, Brennan Johnson is a terrific player. We're obviously looking at him as a potential transfer target earlier in the summer, weren't we? So it's an interesting one. I'd love to see him start because I think he does just give you something a little bit different. And I thought he was.
I think it all depends on how attacking he wants to go.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
He's looking at Forest. Look, I think it'll be a tough game. Newly promoted sides always start really, really well, and I think of the 3 promoted teams, Nottingham Forest, in my opinion, are by far the best of the 3. That had a phenomenal end of the season. They've got a great manager. They've made some really good signings. I do still think we'll win 1-0, but is he going to look at this and think, does he need to play Longstaff with Joe Linton and possibly Bruno, who can be defensive as well? I just think if he's going to play Anderson, this would be the game to do it. But again, Willock, nobody's mentioned him already. Eddie Howe's a big fan of his as well. So could he play Willock? I mean, you talk about there the 5 subs. There was a comment. Who do you think the 5 subs are going to be? You're probably going to be looking at Fraser, Murphy, Chris Wood, obviously. You'd be looking at Willock. You'd be looking at Anderson if Longstaff plays, and obviously Byrne if he doesn't start. But so there are options from the bench. Not many, but it's going to be interesting. Really, really interesting who we will go with. But if it was me, I'd give out Elliot Anderson a game. I really would.
Yeah, I think Paul's in the comments backing you up, Mark, as well, that he's going to go with the Share and Burn partnership as well, to be fair. So I think it's an interesting one. I mean, Mike's in the comments there saying he doesn't think Willock deserves to start. Willock's a funny one for me because I think in pre-season he's actually looked all right. He's been in the goals a bit. I mean, that finish against Burnley was beautiful, that little dink finish that he hit. That showed real composure. But for me, I think Joe Willock has, maybe rightly or wrongly, is a good impact player. And if you're talking about those 5 subs that can change the game for you, if the game doesn't go our way, we were at the preseason games, Mark, and the lack of depth in the squad was so self-evident. But if you've got players like Elliot Anderson and Joe Willock that can come on with legs, with energy, with goals in their game, that can change a game. If for whatever reason the Forest game doesn't go our way, sometimes these newly promoted sides come in and they dig their heels in, they frustrate you. If we've got 2 impact players like those 2 to bring off the bench, then I think that could really change things, Mark, couldn't it? That could be behind Eddie's thinking in the subs.
It absolutely could. Let me get it wrong. I don't think Willock's a bad player at all. I'm not sure he deserves a start in that side right now.
Yeah.
But you're right. He could absolutely be an impact player. Let's not forget, he was brilliant coming in as an impact player under a previous manager. In a different way of playing, but it just gives you something a little bit. Again, it's something a little bit different that the others don't particularly do. My theory with sort of having Longstaff in there was just I'm not so sure you want Bruno sitting deeper. I think you don't lose so much of him, but if his role is going to be that deeper of the 3, because I don't think you can trust Joe Linton to be the central point of a 3-man midfield, because I just don't think his passing is good enough. Bruno can do that. He could do that Shelvey sort of quarterback role a little bit, but you lose a little bit of him getting forward and into the box. And do you then rotate that around at times? I don't know. But I think that was only my thinking, is playing Sean in that central role and keep him there and allow the other 2 to play that more box to box.
Just to get in there, absolutely. But Jimmy's saying Anderson looks better than Willock, Shelvey, and Longstaff. Lynchman, would you actually put? I know you're a big fan of Elliot Anderson, but just from what you've seen and the glimpses you've seen since he's come back on loan, would you put him ahead of Joe Willock then in terms of a start and a squad position in terms of the midfielders 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever? Do you put Anderson ahead of Willock in that list then right now?
Personally, yes. I think he's got more ability than Willock. I think he's got a game-changing pass or a finish in him ahead of Willock. Yeah, look, Willock's a decent player, but he hasn't shown enough consistency for me. I just think Anderson needs to be given a chance. And if it's not going to be this season, then when's it going to be? I mean, people are talking about, you should send him out on loan to a championship club, toughen him up a bit. I fully disagree with that. I think the guy's good enough right now. I know he's only 19, but he's shown enough from what I've seen of him already to think he deserves a place in this team. And it'll be interesting as well to see what happens when Shelvey is fit again. because that injury threw a bit of a spanner in the works. I think if Shelvey hadn't been injured, he probably would have played alongside Bruno and Joe Linton. So it's interesting that this spot's been, if you like, freed up for someone else to come in and grab it. So let's say Shelvey's out for what, a month? They're talking maybe 6 weeks at the most. If he is out for that length of time, he might not get back in the team again, depending on who comes in and does a job. And if Anderson comes in and does a brilliant job, then Shelvey won't get back in the team. So I really, really hope come 2 p.m. Saturday, when I look at the team sheet, Anderson's on that team sheet. I'm very hopeful, though, more than optimistic.
Absolutely. Good comment from Mike there as well, saying it's an ideal one for Anderson. It could give him a huge boost. Yeah, especially if he's playing against players that, he's better quality than for his first game. You know what I mean? He can absolutely, fly through there. So that's absolutely superb. So my phone's ringing in the room there, guys. I've just got another comment coming. Let me just grab that. You guys carry on. I'll grab.
I think I go with that Anderson comment. I think I prefer to see him start. My thought was does Eddie go with that little bit of a deeper midfielder rather than and play Bruno in that further forward? That was my thing. I'd much prefer to see Anderson start. I think he, as Jimmy says there, he always wants the ball. Exactly right. He's not shy in a way from getting the ball, and he does an awful lot with it. He showed that on Friday. He was, I can't praise the kid enough. He was excellent. For the sort of last hour of that game, he was head and shoulders the best player in the park. So he was, like I say, I just think he would be my ideal starter in that role. Like you say, James, just playing it in that position. And Forest does give you the ideal opportunity to sort of breathe him into the Premier League a little bit better as a starter. And hopefully hopefully that's the case. But yeah, it should be an interesting one to see when it come 2 o'clock, because we're now talking about potential of who's playing rather than you're stuck in we know the 11 before it's even got here. So
absolutely.
Do you think Eddie has already told the players, the team? Do you think all these players know if they're starting yet or not? Do you think
maybe not this soon? Maybe not this soon. I think they might find out maybe Thursday, Friday, possibly. I think they might find out.
So it's going to come down to, does Eddie Howe have the balls to start Anderson? That's what it's going to come down to, because in his eyes it might be a bit of a gamble. Will he have the balls? Is he going to take the bull by the horns and go for it? Or will he just play the safe bet and go for long stuff?
But it depends as well. What happens with the transfer window. If Maddison does come in the next couple of days, I don't think he'll start the game. I think he'd be on the bench anyway. Do you know what I mean? But that does change the squad dynamic as well. Do you know what I mean? So it could very well be that. But just to wrap up, guys, because we're coming close to the hour mark. Obviously, I've given my prediction of 3-1. Mark, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0. To
Newcastle.
To Newcastle, obviously.
What 1-0 for me? Elliot Anderson winning.
Ooh, tight one. Oh, look at that! There he is. He's back with a bullet. Fantastic. But
that one's for PK.
Just for PK. We'll snip that one and send it to him. But that's all the time we've got for this week, guys. Thank you so much, everybody who's been in the comments. We love it. It really helps the channel flow. And as we mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button. We're really close to 1,500. We'd love to help you get us there. It's just under James's chin there, you can see. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Don't miss any of the videos. We're going to be back with some videos. We'll maybe do a post-match review of the game at the weekend, and then me and Mark will be back with a what's going on Monday, and then we'll be back same time Wednesday for the Evermore podcast. That'll be week in, week out. Now the season's back, so let's all get stuck in for the weekend. Let's keep supporting that team, McCoy United, and we'll catch you next time on Evermore, everyone.
Take it easy, guys.
Take
See
care.
you later.